Hey guys, welcome to another episode. So today, came back, talked to Gillian, dumped all my stuff off, and should be good to go. Maybe we'll get to level 23 or 24. Depends how quick it is. That looks like a good time for a doorway. Alright, maybe not a good idea for doorway. So I want to get all the hounds before I settle down in a corner, I think. It's probably the best way to do it. But it burns through a lot of mana that way, so I probably won't be able to do it perfectly. I notice these guys don't steal my mana even though they're undeads. Which, I mean, I'm happy about, but I just kinda... I thought all undeads just sort of stole your mana. And then lashworms were like the only exception. I think he's the only one that can be stone cursed. It's actually pretty easy. I might just save this for Diablo. Like, I'm pretty close to Diablo, so I mean, you know, holding in my inventory shouldn't be that big of an issue. Compound Buckler, have I seen this? It's a lot of damage. I think I have seen it though. So in some kind of frequent news on the Discord, there's another player who used to play, I think his name was Alan Ballin. He said he would try start streaming the Hell 2. I forget all these items that just dropped on the floor. Just throwing me off. But yeah, he said he would give it a try. Now that it has perks and things, he quit I think just before perks were implemented. So in my opinion, that's probably like the biggest thing. There's obviously like a ton of uniques, but you know, that's the one main thing that would really change your playthrough a whole lot. Well, I guess uniques would too, but you know, that's like present from level 1. You have to use perks, but you could get unlucky and only find, you know, uniques that are not the way you like to play or something like that. So considering that other Apex I found was like 500 to 700 thorns damage, I feel like this is a pretty bad Apex. Hate seeing those guys on my mage. They're like my worst enemy. But then I remember I'm melee class now, so I no longer have to fear them. Actually, that's kind of dumb for me to just let them run into me like that. I should try and get around a corner so that they're less likely to charge at me. Oh nice, my thorns damage is actually pretty sick then. If it did 5,800 damage, or well 5,700 damage over the course of 2 enemies. I don't know, what would you say? Is that like a 33% increase in my damage? That was so obvious, I don't know why I didn't dodge. So far this level seems pretty good for me. There's not really been any ranged damage coming my way. I thought that the undead guys, they fired little beams at you, but I think that might be the ones that spawn on level 23 and 24. Oh, another doorway? What is this? Why are there doorways? Oh wait, this is where the Uber spawns. Okay, never mind. I guess I shouldn't be complaining about doorways. They are extremely helpful. Even though I kill the enemies pretty quick here, like 0.10% at level 44, it's gonna take a long time to get to level 50. I remember it took a long time before, but like, you know, maybe in like, I don't know what you'd call it, like 2 super long play sessions, you could get like one level from like 46 to 50. And depending on where you went, like if you went and did like hell levels, you could probably do that. But if you try to do it in like the crypt, it would probably be a lot slower and you wouldn't get that much progress. But yeah, I think that that Fury buff or debuff that Mordor was talking about would make this a whole lot harder. Where you only have really one 15-second window, or actually I don't know how long it is. Is it like 30 seconds? It's probably more like 30 seconds where you get the effects of Fury. That would be a little bit harder to manage. But I mean, it's definitely, I'd say it definitely belongs in this mod just because like it's already so much easier than single player on like the Hell 1. I really think that there should be some way that you can make it more challenging without having to balance every single thing, because balancing things, you know, like you said, usually comes last. But if there's some really like easy things, well, not easy, but just like they wouldn't take as long, right? They're not part of an entire system of changes. When Mordor changed every single unique, or like I think just about every one of them, and there was like 900 at the time. It's like, you know, that's a huge undertaking. That's, you know, it's like when you start something, you want to do it all at one time so it doesn't really get out of hand, and you're just like, you know, some things are OP and some aren't. But something like, you know, the Fury change, it would be effective across pretty much all characters, except maybe, like, I mean, I'd say not the mage, but I know that a lot of players do play the mage with Fury. They do high spell levels, so I think it would be handy to limit that somehow. Or just make it that strategic, you know, 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds, you might have to be like, okay, I misjudged it, what do I do now? You know, what's the next step? Not just like, alright, I ran out of Fury, now I recast it. Which on like a monk and an assassin, it's really not hard to recast it. Like I cast it there. I don't have terrific armor either. I guess it's not bad, but it's not like, you know, amazing. With 3 enemies striking me. That's, I don't know. I could see maybe on like a gladiator or a paladin where it's harder to get all that casting time without being interrupted. But that was a quick death, wow. Oh, 18 DFE. That's actually, well, it's not, it can't be cursed because of drop from the boss, but excuse me. I think it's the highest you can get without it being cursed. It's either that or like 20, I think. But mainly, 40 armor against the undead. That's quite a bit. What does this have? 13, so it would be like 53 versus 28. Like that would be seriously helpful. -23, -21. DFE is about the same. It would be really helpful in King Leoric's Tomb. I feel like it would be... I'd probably be able to handle it with a piece like that. Hate holding on to all these things, but they are really quite useful for the right situation. I guess it'd be kind of cool to toss around the idea of what you would be, or what would be the penalty for being off of the Fury. I think Mordor, I could be wrong, I remember, it's been a long time, but Mordor was talking about you do less damage during the time you're off of it. And, I don't know, on one hand it's like, you kind of, it sort of makes sense balance-wise because you're just kind of shifting your damage into a confined space, into one time. But if, wondering if there's something else that could be done, like, maybe like reducing your damage isn't really, you know, the end of the world because you get all your defensive properties back. I wonder if it could leave you vulnerable, a little bit more vulnerable. Or maybe it just, you know, your damage goes back to normal damage, but you become as weak as when you had Fury on. I don't know. Or maybe a little bit of both. I guess development-wise, it would probably be easiest, maybe not easiest, but just best to go stage by stage. So, you know, you go by, you first say, okay, now with Fury, you do less damage while you're on cooldown. So it's like, okay, you try that out, people try it out, they're like, what the fuck, Fury is garbage, I'm never using Fury again, boycott all Fury, like they normally do. Then you just wait another 2 weeks, and then where people who aren't hysterical will actually, you know, get back to you with reasonable feedback and be like, yeah, you know, it feels alright. And you're like, okay, that could stick. Or, you know, it still feels a little powerful, then you can, you know, add another step onto that and be like, you know, not only do you not deal high damage, you still take more damage while you're recovering from Fury. And also it seems to be that, like, when you nerf anything, people are going to be crazy. They're like, oh, this garbage now, can't use it, it's absolutely unplayable. 25%. But if you change things smaller at a time, instead of one massive change, people will be a little bit more realistic. Man, these guys just melt. Holy cow.
I can't carry anymore.
Oh, elixir of magic. I didn't even realize I picked that up. Man, I'm out of it. Might as well get a huge crowd going. Oh, my mana. Not cool, man. My health. Really not cool. Yeah, it seems like the better thing to do now. I mean, I have lots of potions to spend. I might as well just speed things up, open the chests, and then go to a corner along the way, instead of always running back to a corner. It's sort of hard to change that switch off in your head where it's just like, you know, a mage, it's like always go back,
anymore.
always work back, always put up a wall, you know what I mean? 109%? That's pretty decent. I think the last one I found was like 60%, so that's good to find on here. And I mean, if you couple that with, you know, that chess piece that gave me 500, that would be quite the explosion. But I do wonder if Thorn's damage, if it's a cumulative total, so you have like plus 300%, and then your Thorn's damage on this piece is times 109%, or if it's, you know, your total Thorn's damage, or whatever Thorn's damage is actually outputted, gets multiplied by this amount. It'd be kind of hard to test because damage is kind of all over the place, and I think it can crit and all that jazz, so maybe I'll ask on the Discord or something. Judging by what we've seen so far, I would say it's probably not like that. It's probably very individualized, just because things like Gold Find, it has been like that. Or, I mean, HP, like plus percentage HP. You could give yourself plus 100 HP, and then plus 25% HP. And the plus 100 HP would still just be 100 HP. It wouldn't get multiplied by the 25% bonus. Oh, there we go. We're boned. Pretty much have to crit these guys to death. What? That's a crazy amount of XP gain. It's kind of a shame that it takes so much to wear. Even if you were on a gladiator and something, it probably would be at the point in the game where 3,000 isn't as good as getting like 20%. Still, it's got 2 affixes, which is cool. Oh well. Part of me doesn't want to drop it because I don't know what it's going to be like leveling from 49 to 50. Maybe it's like all the XP that you get goes down to like, you know, 100. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep it because it's 2 affixes. I mean, it's just one item. My stash is always a mess just because of, you know, things balance all the time. You need to be prepared. Like, I'm sure there'll be new affixes being introduced to the mod, and that'll cause, you know, all the blue items you have to maybe morph. So it's good to be prepared. And I think, you know, there's a lot of hindsight for items that Mortar wanted to implement, or affixes in the Hell 1 that he wanted to implement that he couldn't because it would screw everyone's affixes up. So I think the power here in the Hell 2 is you have all these new features. Everything's still fairly fresh. Just if you do think of like some new affixes, pool them together, And when you do get a couple, oh nice, dark witches, not the other ones. The soul burners, those are the really painful ones. But yeah, then give people like, you know, a 2 weeks heads up or something, and just implement it. I wouldn't worry about trying to, you know, not upset people, because it's gonna happen. It's not much that can really be done. It's just, in order for new things to be implemented, has to happen. Got that guy out of the way.
I can't carry anymore.
And I mean, that is kind of a hard decision to make for, you know, probably some people, where it's like, well, you know, you want new affixes as they come, but at the same time you want to keep your blue items that you did find. It's like, yeah, but then eventually it's going to turn into the Hell 3, where you have to use a new computer program to make a whole new mod just because, you know, we wanted to save our really dope drop. Now, I don't even know if this is possible, but yeah, it seems alright. But if you could, like, have some kind of save, like some kind of code that could make like an item permanent, or like survive these upgrades to affixes and stuff. I think it'd be handy, because then, you know, maybe even like something for Patreons. You don't have to like make it all about money, like you need to hit a certain tier, but it's just kind of one of those things where it's like the mod, like there's so many good things that the mod could have, and it's like, if it, you know, someone's gonna lose their items, like, you know, it's probably worth it, like, in the long run. It's not to say some items aren't gonna be like once in a lifetime, like someone probably will find a sturdy plate of imperviousness or whatever it is, and you know, it's gonna be like, oh my god, I can't lose this. But I don't know, it just, when you look down the road, you're like, yeah, if you don't do that, if you don't make new affixes, then you're just gonna be left with like a bunch of regret about all these things that you could have, all these builds you could make. But now, one kind of caveat to this is, in the Hell 1, there was kind of like a fluff affix. I think it was like the plus durability. So, you know, if you had some items, I think they would give them like plus 200 durability or something, or 100 durability. Mortar was able to just change that affix into something new. Or there was the same thing with the Hungry affix on amulets and rings. All jewelry could get 2% lifesteal, but the 2% lifesteal replaced something, I think. I don't think it was like a complete transformation. So there's so many gold find affixes in this mod already that I feel like if you took out like the 40 to 50 gold find affix, nobody's gonna lose their mind, right? Like it's not that big of a deal. So maybe that's why, you know, there are so many percent gold affix modifiers in the mod. It just, it's something, it's like a substitute. If there's a really good affix that like down the road, Mortar's like, I really want to add this, it's like, well, if you get rid of one of those gold find affixes, nobody's gonna lose their mind. And then you still get to add some things that are really important, but, you know, it's not like you have to, like, annoy the player base. Even though there's been warnings, like, you know, this is just a test, like, things will become unstable, like, a character file can just delete itself, it's just, that's life. It's actually not too bad in the crypt either to get those guys. It's a little bit harder than hell, I'd say, but it's still doable at least. But I haven't met a boss yet on this level, so it's probably gonna be like a big extravaganza here at the end. Oh, excuse me. Though I did think it was kind of weird, like, that all the affixes had to be on the same line. Like, I don't know anything about coding, but it just seems like, say, Path of Exile and stuff, like huge AAA games and all that. Like, what do they do when they want to add new affixes to their game? Because, you know, eventually they do, and for certain seasons they do. Do they, like, you know, scramble all their uniques pretty much, or... Like, I know it doesn't happen because I've played on them and they keep your original items the same for the most part. Just kind of wonder, like, what do they do? Ooh. Yeah. How to get out of this? I might just have to go back to the start of the level. I know there's a little two-man caveat there. It's too hard to aim. The screen's too zoomed out, I think. Annoying. Peace out. Peace out. Yeah, I didn't want my belt breaking there. That's such a climactic way to have a fight. Oh, there's a little one-man corner. Huh. I didn't have to walk all the way back to the start of the level. That's cool. But mainly if I kill the boss, then I get a save point, so it is handy. Alright. Good to get some repairs in. Actually, a lot of things need to be repaired, so probably best I go back to town.
Greetings!
Oh wow. That plate is like almost 2,000 to repair? That's insane. The helmet too, wow.
Greetings!
I'm probably just gonna have to
Good
stash
day.
these things.
How may I
I'll likely
serve you?
forget about them, but... Well, maybe if I get desperate enough, I'll go looking through my stash when I go to do those quests.
Good day.
The elixir
How
should
may
go
I
to...
serve you?
Maybe I'll save it for my mage, or... I don't know really who. I can't use this yet, but Arcane Nova would actually do a lot of damage to them. At least I think it would. Oh, that was dumb. Eh. Well, I need to walk this way anyway, so I can just bring him to the corner. I think this will be all of them. Oh, that could be a Zodiac ring, I think. Don't think mana regen is ever going to be a thing for me. I really like the fluidity that comes with just being able to cast mana. Early on, like, regeneration is pretty sweet, but later on it just becomes, like, you always have to move, right? Like, and if every time that you're not using a spell to help, like, the people in your party, or to, like, barricade them off, or do something, it's like, it's a lost time. And okay. Nah. Whoop. I messed that up. I don't know if Assassin would want to use lightning. I remember at level 20, lightning was actually, like, you know, situationally better. Bleh, can't talk with other noises. Situationally better than lightning ball. But as I got at, like, you know, level 30 spell levels, it became to be like lightning ball was just always better. But I think lightning is also cheaper to cast than lightning ball, so maybe on the assassin that's what I would use. Hey, wait a minute. Where's my bow? What happened to my bow? Man, that's a bad feeling. I know I haven't made a new game, and I don't sell things for this reason, so I don't, like, accidentally sell my bow or something and not realize it later, because it has happened, and the gold you make is usually not worth the time invested. I gotta go and find that. Okay, so it's not in town anywhere. I started on level 21, so it's probably around there. Or maybe I could check my stash first.
Good day. How may I serve you?
I guess I usually save my, like I back up my files so I could just go back until a point where I had it. Which isn't like the end of the world, but it is kind of just one of those things where you don't want to put it off because you'll definitely forget about it. Like obviously I put it off somehow. I don't know what I was trying to do. Hey, there it is. What was it doing here? I don't remember this being a really tight area fight-wise. Huh. Well, no matter. Anyway, I guess I'll go back repair and set myself up to where I was before I just had this interlude. Catch you guys next time.